My name is Lucius, and no, I'm not here to teach you how to live. I'm here to show you how this world actually works. They told you the world is fair. They told you that if you are patient, obedient, and good, things will eventually work out. That was not a lie born of cruelty. It was a lie born of necessity. Law 5. Whoever controls the frame controls the outcome. Power does not begin with strength. It does not begin with intelligence. And it never begins with being right. Power begins the moment someone decides what the situation means. Every interaction operates inside a frame. A frame defines who evaluates and who is evaluated, who explains and who listens, who reacts and who remains untouched. Most people lose power without noticing the moment it happens. It happens when they start explaining themselves. Explanation feels natural. It feels fair. It feels like clarity. But psychologically, it is something else entirely. The moment you explain, you accept the assumption that you owe justification. You accept the premise that the other person has the right to question you. You accept a position below the frame. This is why explanations rarely restore authority. They confirm its absence. Strong individuals understand this instinctively. They do not rush to correct accusations. They do not emotionally respond to pressure. They do not argue premises they did not agree to. They pause. That pause is not hesitation. It is refusal. Refusal to enter a frame that weakens them. Most accusations are not designed to uncover truth. They are designed to force positioning. A question is rarely just a question. It is often a test of hierarchy. When someone demands clarity, urgency, or emotional reaction, what they are really asking is permission to lead the interaction. Those who grant that permission lose control immediately. Silence disrupts this mechanism. Silence does not defend. Silence does not comply. Silence does not escalate. It leaves the frame unresolved. And unresolved frames create discomfort, not for the one who remains silent, but for the one who attempted to dominate. This is why people rush to fill silence. They over-explain. They justify. They expose motivations they never intended to reveal, while the one who controls the frame says nothing. This is not arrogance. It is hierarchy. In every exchange, one person defines the context. The other adapts to it. Those who constantly adapt believe they are being reasonable. In reality, they are surrendering position. Frame control is not aggression. It is restraint. It is the ability to recognize when engagement benefits you and when it does not. Not every misunderstanding needs correction. Not every accusation deserves a response. Not every question deserves an answer. Some frames collapse when ignored. Others collapse when calmly rejected. But none collapse when you panic. This is why emotional control is not a personality trait. It is a strategic advantage. Those who master this law stop entering conversations as defendants. They stop proving worth to those who came to test them. They stop fighting battles they never chose. They decide when to speak. They decide what matters. They decide the pace. And by doing so, they decide the outcome. This is the foundation of frame control. Everything else builds on this refusal. Frames are rarely imposed by force. They are offered quietly. Most people step into them voluntarily. The most common entry point is the question. Why did you do that? Can you explain yourself? Don't you think that was inappropriate? These questions appear neutral. They are not. Each one carries an assumption that the other person has the authority to evaluate you. The moment you answer without examining the frame, you accept that authority. This is how control is transferred, not through dominance, but through cooperation. Another common trap is emotional escalation. Raised voices, accusations of tone, claims of disrespect, coldness, or defensiveness. Emotion is not used to clarify. It is used to destabilize. When emotion enters the frame, strategy exits it. The person who reacts emotionally confirms the hierarchy. The person who remains neutral reshapes it. Neutrality does something most people cannot tolerate. It removes friction, and without friction, pressure collapses. This is why calm is often misinterpreted as strength, not because it intimidates, but because it cannot be redirected. Moral framing is another effective trap. You should know better. That's not how good people behave. If you cared, you would explain. Morality is powerful because it bypasses logic. It activates guilt. Once guilt is active, people abandon position. They rush to repair their image. They seek absolution through explanation, and in doing so, they surrender leverage. Frame control does not reject ethics. It rejects ethics used as weapons. You do not argue whether you are good or bad. You do not enter moral theater. You refuse the role entirely. Sometimes the strongest response is disengagement. Walking away is not weakness. It is refusal. Refusal to play inside a hostile frame. Refusal to reward provocation with attention. Refusal to negotiate from a disadvantaged position. Those who lack control hate disengagement because it denies resolution. They want answers. They want reaction. They want dominance. And you give them none. Another subtle trap is urgency. Answer now. Decide quickly. We need this resolved immediately. Urgency compresses thinking. It creates artificial pressure. It benefits the one who initiated it. Those who control the frame control time. They slow interactions down. They pause decisions. They allow silence to work. Not because they are indecisive, but because speed is rarely neutral. Frame control also means recognizing when a frame cannot be repaired. Some frames are designed to trap, not resolve. Arguing inside them only deepens loss. In these cases, the only strategic move is to exit. This is not avoidance, it is awareness. Because control is not proven by endurance, it is proven by choice. The person who chooses when to engage and when to withdraw remains unmanageable. And what cannot be managed cannot be dominated. This is the second layer of Law 5. Understanding how frames trap people is how you stop entering them unconsciously. The highest form of control is not reaction. It is initiation. Most people live inside frames they did not create. They respond to expectations. They react to pressure. They adapt to situations already defined by others. They believe power is the ability to handle conflict well. It is not. Power is the ability to decide what the conflict is about, or whether it exists at all. Those who control the frame do not wait to be challenged. They arrive with context already set. They define relevance before discussion begins. They define tone before emotion escalates. They define limits before anyone attempts to cross them. This is why they rarely appear defensive, rarely appear rushed, rarely appear concerned with approval. They are not managing reactions, they are managing structure. A strong frame feels stable, predictable, almost uneventful. And that stability creates gravity. People instinctively adjust to the most consistent frame in the room. Not the loudest, not the most aggressive, the one that does not move. Consistency signals authority. When your behavior does not change under pressure, others recalibrate theirs. They choose words more carefully. They hesitate before pushing. They sense boundaries without seeing them, not because you enforced them, but because your frame made enforcement unnecessary. This is how dominance operates without force. Those who control the frame do not chase validation. They do not compete emotionally. They do not argue to be seen as reasonable. They allow others to reveal themselves. Every outburst becomes information. Every accusation becomes exposure. Every attempt to provoke becomes evidence of imbalance. While others spend energy reacting, frame controllers conserve it. They observe. They measure. They decide when engagement has value. Most conflicts are resolved by those who either enter last or not at all. This is why silence, timing, and restraint outperform persuasion. Persuasion attempts to change minds. Frames decide what minds are allowed to consider. Once a frame is accepted, the conclusion follows naturally. This law does not require cruelty. It does not require manipulation. It does not require intimidation. It requires awareness. Awareness of when you are being positioned. Awareness of when urgency is artificial. Awareness of when explanation weakens you. And the discipline to withhold participation until the conditions are aligned. Those who master this law stop feeling attacked, because attacks require access, and access is granted only by those who fail to control the frame. When you control the frame, conflict loses its leverage over you. You are no longer pulled into justification, no longer dragged into reaction, no longer forced to prove worth. You choose when to speak. You choose what matters. You choose the pace. And others adapt, not because they understand why, but because the alternative feels unstable. This is psychological dominance in its quiet form. Invisible, measured, decisive. The one who controls the frame does not need to win arguments. The outcome was determined before the conversation began.